Well, we're at the halfway point of the year as June is coming to a close and we're about to turn the calendar to July. I have seen 42 films so far. 42. That is, to put a technical term on it, I would say not enough. I'm sure there's a committee somewhere right now voting on whether or not to revoke my cinephile status, and I might vote yes. But before I lose any more credibility, let me tell you what my 10 favorite among those 42 are for 2026 so far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the garage. Let us rumble, shall we? Let's talk about 2026 so far, as we are at that midway point. Later this week, you'll be getting my mid-season awards. I do that every year where I give out my, fake awards for what I think the best performances, direction, movies are so far this year. That's a little bit different than this list. This is just my personal favorite, my top 10 movies that I've seen so far this year. So I want to give that little caveat that this is just my opinion. If your favorite of the year so far did not make this list, let's be honest, I probably haven't seen it. Or if I have, maybe it just did not resonate with me as much. But drop down below what your favorite films of the year are so far. Let's get into it. Now, there are a few that I really like that didn't quite crack my top 10. Those will be my quick honorable mentions. I'm not going to give commentary on these like I'm going to for my top 10. Let me just list them real quick. These would essentially be my 11 through 15. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Damn, that was a good time, and what a doubleheader with that original. A little indie romantic comedy in the vein of Almost Famous or Singles called Mile End Kicks. Disclosure Day, the latest from Steven Spielberg. Yes, I'm one of the 14 people that enjoyed that film. Sue me. The AI Doc, or How I Became an Apocalyptomist. Man, that is really, I almost didn't put it on the list because it's so hard to say. And then finally, Michael from director Antoine Fuqua, much like Disclosure Day. Yes, I like that movie. Let's move on. All right, kicking things off at my number 10 is The Moment. This is a mockumentary starring pop star Charlie XCX. It's both hilarious and incredibly topical. The film shines a light on the pressures of fame, but also like the public's obsession with celebrity and social media. Charlie is electric in this. I've always said that it's a lot harder to play yourself than folks really give you credit for if you're an actor. And she absolutely proved my point with this one. On top of being a pop phenom, she is a damn good actress. The film brings in real elements of nostalgia too, because it's essentially an homage to movies like This Is Spinal Tap, which is a classic, right? Except in this case, you've got a real pop star celebrity and somebody that lived through this actual cultural phenomenon, which of course was the Brat era. Really good stuff. I'm still in my Brat era, by the way. My number 9 is Tuner. This one has a pitch-perfect cast. I'm so sorry for the pun. You've got a grumpy old Dustin Hoffman here, which is honestly kind of everything. And then there is some truly electric chemistry between our star duo here, which is Havana Rose Liu, and of course Leo Woodall, the star. Their relationship kind of pulls me right into this movie. I'm hopeful that the award season chatter for this movie will remain loud enough or begin to get loud for categories like editing, but especially like sound design, because those categories, this is among the year's best for sure. This movie Tuner also featured my favorite, that's how you land the plane moments with the ending of this movie. The last 2 minutes was just so triumphant. It was kind of something that you saw coming and you predicted, but also you were equally surprised to see it happening. It's a glorious send-off to an already pretty damn good film. My number 8, you guys are going to say is low because this might be a lot of people's number 1 this year. I did really like it, but for me, it's Project Hail Mary from Lord Miller. This is exciting, funny, visually striking. It's a very moving, too, sci-fi adventure. There are clear, influences in there and traces of other space films. You see movies like Interstellar or The Martian, Ad Astra. There's even a little bit of Ridley Scott's Alien in there. A lot of talk around Ryan Gosling for this one when it comes to awards, and rightfully so, he's great. But for me, Sandra Hüller is a definite standout. Her now, I would say, unforgettable karaoke scene remains my favorite individual sequence of the year still. It lands on several frequencies. It's uncomfortable, funny, sad, deeply revealing, especially for her character. And really, that's kind of more of a snapshot for how the whole movie feels. It encompasses this isolation and loneliness that speaks to the serious tone underneath the narrative. My number 7 is the drama. And look, marriage is a deep, dedicated journey. It usually takes quite literally your whole life to complete, and maybe beyond that if you think about it. But saying the drama is about marriage is definitely underselling it. I don't want to spoil any of these movies really because obviously they're fairly new, but I'll just say that there's some storylines introduced that are equally complex in their details, which makes that marriage journey even more complicated in the process. Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as our would-be happy couple are literally perfect, like perfection in this. Both of them are delivering the uncertainty, the desires of their characters with absolute precision. This is another film, by the way, that also has some top tier technical shit going on, especially the editing and that frickin' score. This movie's a banger. Andrew Stanton's Toy Story 5 from Pixar's my number 6. This might be a surprise to some people, but look, as a parent who is constantly battling with balance for my kids' screen time, this one spoke volumes. I've already gone on record on my letterbox as saying this is my favorite in the franchise, next to only Toy Story 3. I would also argue that maybe after these 5 movies, this might be the greatest streak for a single franchise, possibly ever. You don't have a single dud in the mix. And there's really not even one below average, frankly. We get wonderful new characters, and they get a chance to shine here. Most notably, Smarty Pants, who was voiced by a literal Smarty Pants, who I love, and that's Conan O'Brien. He was really a standout for me in the movie. It was like that really sad montage in Toy Story 2, where Jessie's remembering her owner, so Sarah McLachlan, singing the song that she sings with the puppies that need to be adopted or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? But it was stretched out to be a whole film here. But aside from Jessie, you know, our central crew, if you will, the group in this film, they all still get their chance to shine too. You know, this is a franchise built on the concept of like physical toys, and the fact that our world is like changing so much with AI and technology, it amazes me that Pixar still finds a way to incorporate these seemingly like outdated characters into these modern stories, and this was another home run for them. And number 5 is Send Help. Director Sam Raimi returned to his roots of the good old horror comedy with this one. It essentially is Castaway as a home invasion film, but think of that home as a deserted island. I don't know what I'm doing here. My mid-season awards, like I said, are coming up, but just spoilers, I'm not joking when I say that Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams give 2 of the best performances of the year so far. Absolutely awards worthy. Their push and pull, like cat and mouse game throughout the movie, is both thrilling but also funny as hell. And also this film, you know, it really has a lot to say, but it never really says it, which is kind of cool if you think about it. You know, things around like power dynamics and the rise of women in roles of authority, especially like since the Me Too movement. But in classic Raimi fashion, he just gives you a bloody good time and lets you figure all that out on your own or not. I don't think he really cares as long as you're entertained. And believe me, you will be. At number 4, we've got Backrooms. Another phenomenon making the list here. This is from indie powerhouse A24. Liminal horror is a fairly new concept, at least in popular culture, and Backrooms, you know, might be the sole reason why it is as popular as it is right now. It may also be the best iteration of this new subgenre that we've gotten. With our feature adaptation, we get Kane Parsons, who popularized the whole thing during this YouTube series that was spawned from an internet phenomenon like creepypasta, right? But we get another wonderful example here with Backrooms in this iteration on just how creepy an empty room can be. And even more like broadly, how creepy our loneliness can be as long as we sit with it and don't do something about it. I did a full review of this one too, and I said that, you know, the fact that this movie even exists is a real just like jaw-dropping thing for cinema. It's a 20-year-old kid, a filmmaker with no feature experience, making a movie from A24 based on this creepypasta, starring acting powerhouses like Renate Reinsve and Chiwetel Ejiofor. I didn't know Clip, right? Like, this movie happened, right? It's real? All right, I'll move on. I think I'm really here right now. My number 3 is a movie called Is God Is, from writer-director Alicia Harris. I believe this is based on a stage play that she wrote. This is a Southern fried revenge story. You got a little bit of Sinners in there, and you got a lot of influences from the minds of people like Tarantino or Scorsese. The dialogue in this movie is hilarious, it's sharp, it's witty, and the editing matches that. I also love the editing in this film. A lot of those share that quality on my top 10. But you know, underneath all that like quick banter and verbose kind of planning and storytelling, it's a story of family, sisterhood, sticking together through all that thick and thin. Our twins are played by fairly newcomers to perfection here, Carrie Young and Mallory Johnson. But the best casting choice of the entire year in any goddamn film so far might be Sterling K. Brown in this movie as their abusive, estranged father. He is viciously evil and disgustingly vile here, and he's never hiding from that, his character. It's almost like he's proud of it, which makes it even worse. But he also allows a softer side to come out. And this is a man who is easily among the worst portrayed in film in quite some time. But because of the way he plays this character, it does create a dichotomy that is perhaps derivative of like this whole film. It's a bit of a snapshot of what we're dealing with. It flew under the radar, but it is definitely worth seeking out as soon as you possibly can. My number 2, Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. What a mouthful. The title card's gonna be fun for this one. From director Matt Johnson, I never thought I'd be sitting here with 2 mockumentaries on my list, right? I've been a huge fan of Johnson for a lot of years. I always respond to his like slapstick style, but yet still auteur approach to filmmaking. And when you add that aesthetic to essentially his passion project, you get pure comedy gold. I mean, sure, it's funny as hell. But there's a lot more going on in this film than you would expect, or that I expected. It's layered in ways that really surprised me. There's themes of friendship, regret, hope, and even love kind of floating around there. I have no idea how this cast and crew got away with the stunts in this movie. I mean, there's some truly wild, like Jackass level stuff they do in service of really the movie, but of course, but paying homage to films like Back to the Future, Star Wars. I'm so happy that this film exists. I mean, it's crazy. Along with Backrooms, these are the 2 movies I'm like, are they really, is this a real thing? But I hope we see more and more stuff like this in the coming years. And if it was for Matt Johnson, that would be a win too. He's great. And my number 1 film of 2026 so far, as we're sitting here on June 29th, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone that has visited this channel in the last several weeks, as I've talked about it on almost every single video I've done recently. And it is Obsession, which of course is the horror box office kind of unicorn from Curry Barker. I did a full review, so I'm not going to get in deep. Of course, I don't want to spoil it, but you can see all my thoughts. I'll tag that down below. But I will say this real quick. Indy Navarrete, who is currently sitting in my lead actress predictions, is one of the best horror performances I've literally ever seen in my entire life. And that's not hyperbole. She's playing 2 versions of the same character, which is not earth-shifting, right? She plays the regular Nikki, she plays Freaky Nikki, 2 different personalities and people, but she never tips fully into camp with that. She remains erratic and unhinged and emotional, but yet underneath all of that kind of stuff, you can see the real, subtle, quiet, sweet Nikki trapped and trying to get out. It is such a multi-layered performance. I put her right up there. You guys are going to get on me. I made some notes here. Linda Blair in The Exorcist, Sissy Spacek in Carrie. That's the shelf that she's going to ultimately live on in the horror genre. That's my opinion. Hopefully you don't come at me too hard. The movie was made for under $1 million. Curry Barker has already been tapped to do the next, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? His tonal balance in this movie from like horror to comedy is just relentless. You get a funny joke and then a gut punch. And that just happens over and over again, You're laughing and then you're like, ooh, and it's like literally every 30 seconds. I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to own it when it comes out on physical. It is my number 1 film of 2026 so far this year. I don't know if anything's going to be able to dethrone it. As you can probably tell, horror is my favorite genre, so I might stick to what I love, but we shall see. Let me know down below, what is your favorite or your top 10 or whatever you want to give me, films of 2026 so far as we're coming to the end of June here? What do I need to put high priority on my watch list that didn't make my list? Because let's be honest, it's probably because I haven't seen it. Let me know all that down below. I appreciate you tuning into this video. And just a reminder, within the next 4 or 5 days, I'm going to have my mid-season awards, which will be a similar video, but I'll be talking about performances, direction, text, my favorites of the year so far that I think are awards worthy in addition to being my favorite. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and I will see you out here very, very soon in the garage.